Our next lesson is triangle congruence by side, 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 and side, angle, side. That's what the SSS and the SA stands for. It's just a shortened version. First, you have to know what an included angle is. An included angle is an angle created by two sides. So in this picture right here, angle B is included inside of ABC. So if I'm going to trace this out, if I start at A, I would have line AB, and then I would have an angle B, and then I would have line BC. An included side is a side in between two angles. So this side is in between the two given angles. So included is kind of like in between. Right now, the only way we can prove two triangles are congruent is by naming all the corresponding parts, so all lengths and all angles. But we're going to be talking about some shortcuts. Side, side, side is a shortcut. So if we know three sides of one triangle are congruent to three sides of the other triangle, then we can write a congruent statement. And this is what the congruent statement should look like. So since line AB is congruent to DE, those are my first two letters. You have to match up your congruent statement. And then I have BC is congruent to EF. So those would be my next two letters. And AC should be in the same spot as DF. So AC and DF. So it all checks out. On this page, I want to see if I can prove the two triangles are congruent. And if so, then I want to write a congruent statement. The first thing I'm going to be checking is, do I have three congruent lengths in my first triangle compared to my second? Well, if I look here, here's one dash and here's one dash, so those two are congruent. Here's two dashes and here's two dashes, so those two are congruent. And here's three dashes and here's three dashes, so those two are congruent. So yes, those two triangles are congruent. I would say yes, and I also would write side, side, side. And now I want to write my congruent statement. So I'm going to have triangle. I'm just going to write out my first triangle however I want. So I'm just going to say ABC. Then you have to write your congruent symbol to triangle, but now you have to make sure to match it up. So I went from one dash to two dash. So I have to make sure to go in that same order. So if I go in the order DEF, I would go from one dash to three dashes. That does not work. So I don't want that. I'm going to go from one dash to two dashes. So I have to make sure to go in this squiggly order. So I have to start off with E. So I'm going to have E, D, F. Now I'm in the correct order. And if I want to check my work, I'm going to check my length AC. AC is my purple, so that should be matched up with FE. AC and FE, that checks out. I could also check my BC and DF. BC should be in the same spot as DF, that checks out. So next I want to check AB, it should be in the same spot as DE. So if I look at AB right here and DE. Remember, DE is the same thing as ED. You can write it either way. Right now I want you to pause the video, check to see if these two triangles are congruent, and if yes, write a congruent statement. So if you look at your two triangles, I labeled them accordingly. So purple lines here are congruent to purple lines here. Red lines are congruent to red lines. Blue lines are congruent. Oh, there's no blue lines. So these two lines are not congruent because they do not have three equal sides. So you have to have three equal sides in order for them to be congruent. So this is a no, better luck next time. So another shortcut that we have is side, angle, side. And this is that included angle that we're talking about. Now you have to be very careful about how is it side, angle, side. You should always trace out your picture. Because if I look at my picture that I have, if I start at B, the first thing I trace over is a side, and then I'm at A, so I have angle A, because because that's given here. So that now I have a side and an angle. And then I trace over another side. So this would be my side, angle, side. So the reason why these two triangles are congruent is because they have the same side, angle, side, side, angle, side. So again, when you're writing your congruent statement, you want to make sure that it goes in that same order. So if I start with AB, I have to make sure to start with DE. And A and D should be in the same spot because those two angles are congruent. And A and C should be in the same spot as DF because those two lines are congruent. So right now I have 3 different problems here. I want to say, are the two triangles congruent? Why? And if they are, I want to write a congruent statement. So first thing I should do is the label. So I have a length AB here has 1 dash and DF has 1 dash. And I have an angle at 40, and that's the same thing as this angle at 40. And then I have a length with 2 dashes and a length with 2 dashes. So now when I trace over my triangle, I want to make sure it goes in the order side, angle, side, because that's what I have here. I have 2 sides and an angle. But it has to go in the order side, angle, side. So I'm going to start at B. So if I look here, I have B, A, C. So that goes into my side and then my angle and side. I have to make sure that this also goes inside, angle, side. So if I have a side, angle, side, I do. So now I can say yes by side, angle, side. And now I want to write my congruent statement out. Again, I would just write the first triangle as is, however you want. I'm going to write it in the order of my side, angle, side. So I'm going to go B, A, C. I'm going to put is congruent to triangle. I started with B to A, so I want to make sure to start with my outer point to my angle. So that's going to be D to F. So I'm going to have D, F, E. And you can always check your congruent statement. So AC should be in the same spot as EF, which it is. My angle A should be in the same spot as F, which it is. And BA is in the same spot as DF, which it is. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to tell me if the two triangles are congruent for the next 2 problems and why. So if I'm looking at this, the first 2 would be no. And the reason why would be because the first triangle does not go in the order of side, angle, side. What is given, here is given, is a side and then my angle. So we don't have any congruent shortcut with a side, side, angle. So that's why that one is no. The next one is a yes, and you could have either said side, angle, side, or side, 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 because I'm given all that information. So my congruent statement that I wrote out is MNO, because I went from 1 dash to 2 dash, so I have to make sure to go from 1 dash to 2 dash. So I have to go in the order P, Q, R. So I understand if this information is confusing to you, make sure you're asking questions in class. We will be practicing until you understand the information. Make sure to fill out the Google Doc and submit your answers. Have a wonderful evening.